Hello, everyone, and welcome to this discussion on 3 ways that top sales teams are killing it with personal video. My name is Tyler Lessard. I'm from Vidyard, and I'll be your host for this discussion, but I'm really excited about the panelists we have here today to talk to you. This isn't about having industry thought leaders who are sitting back watching the market. These are real VPs of sales who are in there every day, working deals, carrying bags, carrying quotas, and trying to grow not only their own companies, but their own markets. So trying to find new innovative ways to sell, and I think they're starting to find it with things like video and other technology. So without further ado, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves and give you some perspective on where they're coming from. Tony Bennett from Terminus. Tony, could you quickly introduce yourself and your role and what you guys do at Terminus?
Absolutely. So I'm Tony Bennett. I'm the VP of Sales at Terminus. We have an account-based marketing platform that uses display advertising to proactively reach key stakeholders in target accounts.
And Tony, in your market, who's your buyer? Who are you guys selling to every day?
Typically, it's almost anyone in the marketing org. Usually multiple stakeholders on the marketing side are involved, sometimes sales contacts as well.
Okay, cool. And is it largely an outbound, inbound kind of sales methodology you guys have, a mix of both?
90-ish% of our revenue comes from outbound SDR prospecting, so we really take the account-based thing to heart.
Absolutely love it. All right, Kyle, over to you. Would you mind introducing yourself and what you guys are up to at League and how quickly you're scaling?
Yep, so my name's Kyle Norton. I'm the VP of Sales at League, and we are a digital alternative to health benefits. So instead of the Sun Lifes and Manulifes of the world, companies will use us, and it's a fully digital experience. It gives more flexibility to employees to spend money where they need care and help. And ultimately, the vision is not to be a benefits company or insurance company. It's really to help people to live longer, healthier, happier lives every day. And we take that mission to heart in everything we do.
I love it. I love it. And who are your buyers when your team is out there selling? Do you have an individual you're targeting, or is it across different types of personas?
It's definitely an enterprise type sell. We're dealing with CEOs, CFOs, head of HR, likely a few different stakeholders in an HR organization as well. So it's pretty diverse, and as we go up market, the buying groups get pretty large pretty fast.
Okay, great. Now, you guys are both in rapidly growing companies, and so not only are you trying to, hit last year's number or last quarter's number, but I assume you're like us in that every quarter, it's got to be your best quarter, and you're trying to grow constantly, which I think breeds the best in sales teams. It really forces efficiency. It forces us to be innovative. Maybe tough to sleep, but it's an exciting place to be, right? So I just wanted to ask you guys, and maybe Tony, you could start with, what are the biggest challenges that you're seeing within, either modern sales in general or with your own sales structure and teams? What's the challenges, and what's really missing to help your team be more effective and efficient these days?
So for us, what we do is pretty unique. We don't have very many direct competitors, but the space is noisy. So ABM is kind of a hot topic, account-based in general, and even just MarTech. There are thousands of MarTech players.
Right.
So the crux of what we see as our biggest challenge is, one, the noisiness of the space makes it challenging to get someone's attention, to speak to value, to stand out from the crowd, and then two, not quite to the extent I think Kyle experiences, but we do have a lot of stakeholders that need to be involved. Often, CMO doesn't want to get on the phone with their sales rep, but we need to have buy-in from that person as well as multiple people from their team, and so it's hard to engage the entire buying committee.
Right. What about yourself, Kyle? What are some of those macro challenges you see in today's selling environment?
I think for us personally, it's really about trying to drive change in an area of people's business where they are going to be the most risk averse. You can change your sales technology or business services or change your recruiter, and the worst thing that happens is not too bad. If you change your health plan and your benefits program, that can have a really significant impact on people's lives. People are really touchy about it as individual employees, and people have been doing benefits and wellness and health in the same way for if you've been in HR for 15 years, you've basically done it the same way for 15 years
Right.
a lot of the time. So we're getting people to make a change in an area of their business where the status quo is really, really powerful. And so people are excited to talk to us for sure. It's a brand new concept. It's really novel and interesting. But our challenge as a sales organization is later in the funnel when it comes to decision time and doing something that's innovative, forward-thinking, and new versus sticking with something that's really safe in the status quo and coming back to it next year. Let's look at this again in 6 months. So I'd say that's one of our biggest challenges, and you can apply that more generally. I think the power of status quo, especially since the recession, has gotten really, really strong. People want to defer risk. People want to do stuff that's safe. And so for us as sales leaders and sales reps, we have to do a really good job shaping the path for our buyers and not just focusing on getting a deal done, but focusing on what's the entire journey up until when a buyer is going to start getting value from this product and what that's going to look like.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's some of the things that we hear a lot about, the importance of the challenger sale methodology, of being really a thought leader, a trusted advisor, and helping, companies understand the potential value and, help them down that path of change. Because no matter what you're selling, you're always driving some form of change in that organization. And to me, a key part of that is establishing that trust. And that's something that I think that things like video and more, personal sales experiences do go a long way in helping to offer. Unfortunately, most of us don't get the opportunity to meet face-to-face with our prospective clients frequently, if at all. And we lose that empathy, right? That kind of human connection and that potential trust that is going to, make that person faithful in taking that leap. So let's dive right into this topic of personal video. Now, I don't want to take for granted that our audience knows what personal video actually is. I expect many of you are here because you thought, well, what the heck is that? I got to learn about that. Would one of you care to dive in to just give your perspective on what is what is personal video messaging all about from a sales perspective? Kind of, what is it and how do you do it? Any takers?
Yeah, I can hop in there.
Go for it, Kyle.
For us, personal video is a new communications channel that we're using to carry similar messaging that we've been trying to convey over email, phone, social, but putting it on a camera and letting people see your shining face and hear you say the words, which is novel in some ways, but really, really powerful in terms of people's response rate to it. It's a much easier way to consume information. People, that's why YouTube's so successful and popular.
Right.
You video everywhere. Video is the future of marketing in a lot of ways. And so by being able to create personal, easy videos within this same sales workflow that we've been leveraging for a long time, we've seen a lot of benefits.
I'd mirror that and add, for us, since we're in this account-based marketing space from the beginning of the company, we've been thinking, what can we do to stand out from the crowd? What can we do to really get prospects and opportunities and customers' attention? And for us, video has been really important from the beginning. So personalized video messaging is as simple as that. How can we, to Kyle's point, it's the same message, but how can we deliver it in a new and more compelling way? To my point before about how noisy the space is, what are creative things that we can do to break through the noise? And video, for us, has been a key way to do that.
Yeah, some of the things that I've seen are really powerful in using personal video messages. And again, these can be delivered through email. They can be delivered through social, the same traditional channels, but it's just about delivering the message in a different way that's more visual. And one of the reasons that I've found that personal video messaging can be really successful is it showcases that you truly are delivering them a one-to-one message, right? And people are inundated with these automated emails. As a VP of marketing myself, you're probably not surprised I get a lot of inbound email. And I can assure you guys, I am not stuck under a rock. I have not been eaten by a T-Rex. And I do not have 15 minutes next week to talk to you about something that I don't even know if it's relevant to me. We've kind of gotten to that point where we're so saturated with these automated email templates. And I'm not suggesting text-based emails need to go away. They're still an important part of the cadence. But when you see a video land in your inbox, Kyle, if you saw this land in your inbox, video at League, you know I recorded this video just for you, and I can talk to you about it. So let's jump off from there to talk about video as part of the prospecting world. So this is way number one that we see people doing this today, and I think you guys are using it. Tony, I know that your team, you've got a really strong sales development team. You know, the leader of your team was an early adopter of video messaging to help get attention. Can you talk a bit about how your sales development team and your account team uses personal video messages in the prospecting phase to try to get attention with potentially cold prospects?
Absolutely. So we found it a very powerful way to get a message across. So we're using it in the course of a normal cadence. We actually are starting now our cadence. We use SalesLoft Prospector. We're using our cadence. We're starting with a video. And the reason why is we found that we're trying to personalize our messaging more than we were before. Instead of having a me-centric email that says, we do this, we do this, we do this, aren't you interested? We want to say, hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z about your company. I thought this might be relevant. Would love to have a conversation to see if that's the case. And that can get pretty lengthy in the course of an email. So we're really starting the cadence with a video in our email to say, I believe this would be a fit. Check out this video to learn how. And so we've been doing some close monitoring of how things are changing. So our normal cadence, for whatever reason, the SDR team named the Gucci cadence. And now we have this new cadence, which is just called the video cadence. I don't know why we didn't get creative there. But
the Versace.
That's using a video as a first touch point. I believe there's 2 or 3 videos in the course of it. But the email one text-based versus the email one of this video cadence, let's see, there's a 40% higher open rate, 37% higher click rate, and 5.5% higher reply rate when we're using video as a first touch point as to just text-based email.
Yeah, it's amazing because that's not only you know, opening more opportunities, but to me that's also about efficiency because it means you don't have to go to that 6th, 7th touch and, you know, you're obviously be more efficient with your time, but you're also shortening the deal cycle by getting in touch with that person earlier or getting your brand out there. And, you know, one of the things that I've seen is when you start with video early, even if they don't respond to that first message, you get, again, that more visual connection so that later in your cadence, often I will have people responding back to me with the, oh yeah, I remember seeing your video, blah, 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 as that way to stand out. So that's great to hear. And I love the fact that you're reading real numbers off of your screen. That shows you guys are doing the right things. Kyle, oh, go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say one quick comment on that. The key, though, is just like any other channel like email, if the content sucks, then it's still not relevant. So we do have our SDRs practice, so they are required to run through like 5 videos first and run them through the head of that team to be certified before we just launch them on using video. So I will say to sales leaders, beware, you don't just want your SDR team putting out crappy content via video. Now it's another channel that you can blast people with. Make sure you're really training and testing them and certifying them so that when they are using video, it leaves that prospect with a really positive impression of your company and your brand to that person.
Yeah, you know, one of the funny things I find is it's almost a forcing function to make sure that your messaging is good because you're getting people on camera, you know, and it's a bit of their personal reputation now. And if I got on camera and said, you know, the traditional, you know, A, are you stuck under a rock? B, are you, if I watched myself back on camera saying that, I would be like, what am I saying? What am I doing? And it's actually, to me, a bit of a forcing function to say, yeah, you've got to have a more personal, direct message. It's got to be more relatable, and it's got to be more human, and it's got to be about them, which I think is a great point to that. Kyle, are you guys using video during the prospecting phase, or are you largely using it in the later stages of the journey?
I would say we're more heavily using it in the prospecting arm as well. I won't repeat all the stuff that Tony said, but we do it for the exact same reasons. You know, better open, click, reply. It's a faster and easier way to get people's attention. We tier it, so not everybody gets a video. Tier 1 and sometimes Tier 2 prospects will get video because it can be more time consuming than something that's automated through SalesLoft, which we also use. But yeah, video is just, it's this new avenue that's novel and gets people's attention and makes them want to listen. Your message gets through a lot more clearly. And I still have only received, I think now, 2 videos and as a VP of sales. One was from Vidyard, obviously, and the other was the team at Course. No one else has really hit me with video, so and I get a lot of sales emails, so I think it's still a really it's a really lucrative channel, and my team forwards me emails like this all the time. This was one of my reps. So Brock, okay, you earned the call. Having previously run our sales division, I don't respond to salespeople until they prove they're really willing to work and do something different. So, and I get those types of responses like all day, every day. Oh, I don't normally respond to these, but I really liked your video. And to Tony's point about the content, can't just be, hey, like I want 15 minutes of your time so I can tell you about my product. We're still doing 3x3 research before those calls. We're going in with a hypothesis of need, something concrete that we think we can help them with, and there's an offer of value for the next call. It's not so I can ask you a bunch of qualifying questions. There's a specific offer. I want to tell you how other companies have done this, or your competitor has done that. I think those are all really important, and we see similar results. We don't have as clean of data on it quite yet, but just anecdotally, we see all the same sort of things.
Yeah, I think seeing those kinds of responses makes our team light up as well when they're doing it, and people are, again, willing to respond and set up a call. So let me ask you, before we move on from prospecting, some of the things that you found to work. So for me, there's kind of two keys to using a personal video as part of prospecting. Number one is, you've got to get them to click through on it, so that you kind of have to stand out as being relevant to them. And then secondly, of course, once they click, as you both mentioned, the messaging has to be right and about them. So what we've seen is there's kind of just the webcam style where you're introducing yourself and then talking. There's the good old whiteboard where, again, that creates a great thumbnail image so they know this is just for them, and when they click on it, again, now you talk about, hey, Tony, A, B, and C. And the other that we've seen is doing a screen capture with yourself in the corner, and that screen capture might be of their website or a related article they recently talked about, something that's visually representative to them, but then it gives you something to talk about in your dialogue. So I'm curious if you guys are seeing the same types of styles of videos or what's working in your markets. Tony, do you have perspective on that?
We're doing a lot of the third option where we are showing, we'll have a screen capture up of either the person's LinkedIn profile or their company website. The rep's face will be a small little thing in the corner. And so when it pops up, the rep will say something to the effect of, hey, I've done some research, and it looks from your LinkedIn profile as if X, Y, and Z are true. I also noticed on your company website, you guys seem to have some pretty big enterprise clients. I imagine you're taking a pretty account-focused approach. If ABM is something on your radar, and then we try to use an outcome statement. So the other thing we're starting to do, this is like our level 2, was if it's a demand gen person, we don't want to over-assume something, but probably they're focused on demand gen, on bringing new opportunities. So I'd love to talk more with you on how we can help you generate more opportunities for your sales team. If it's a field marketer, the message is different. So it's persona-based, it's picking up something about them or their company and trying to use that as to why we were reaching out.
What about yourselves, Kyle?
Yeah, we lean more towards the selfie video with the name. We also have like a big lit up league sign in our front hallway, so a lot of the reps will sit right below it. So there's this cool league sign behind them. They've got the board there. We've had other videos where it's like the whole sales area, and it looks like there's a lot of excitement going on. I've sent videos sitting in front of my gong when I was trying to push somebody to get me a meeting. A friend of mine who works at the company that I was trying to get a rep into, I just sent him a picture of the gong. I was like, my rep really needs to hit this gong. So you can get creative with your environment, and I think that's really good. We've found that the selfie video works the best. Tony's one has also worked. Their LinkedIn profile as the background is a strong one for that.
Yeah.
And then you can just let people go nuts with it. Experiment in a portion. Don't experiment with 100% of your videos. Okay, I'm going to do this new weird thing with all 20 of the videos I send today. Maybe try it with a couple first, but let them get creative. Like,
wearing antennae on camera so that people will, how could you not click on this, right?
Yeah, and
but
we
it also,
multi-thread through all of our opportunities. So get your BDR and your account executive who are both working up and down in an organization. Get them both on the same thing. Hey, we're trying to get in touch. I know Dan was speaking with your CFO, and there's all sorts of things you can do. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, I like that one. Actually, that's something new we've been trying with some luck. Since we sell to marketing, sometimes a rep will bring on someone from the marketing team, and above it, in the context of the email, it'll say, "I brought in RU." So if you're the director of demand gen, our director of demand gen, click here to learn what she has to say. And they'll say, that person will chime in on their experience using our own product. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and getting those people on camera again, it just the humanizing element of it can be so effective. So the other thing before we leave the prospecting that we've found to be effective is at the start of the cadence, recording a video with that company's website, like you suggested, Tony, and doing it in a generic enough way that you can send it to multiple people at that account. So you can say, pull up somebody's website, you're prospecting, talked about how you can help their company, send that to multiple people and see who actually clicks through to engage. And then it's kind of an efficient way to hit a bunch of people at the same account with one video with something that's relevant to them. And then, 2 or 3 steps later in your cadence, then you do more maybe the selfie video or something like that as a great way. So let me transition now. I want to try to keep this to about 30 minutes to respect people's time, and I know we're actually pretty close to that. We got about 5 to 10 minutes left. So I want to move to the next stage of the sales cycle, and we've moved from prospecting. You've got people's attention. They're being now worked by an account executive. Kyle, do you want to talk a bit about your experiences and then using personal video during that buyer's journey to engage existing prospects to move the deal cycle through and to kind of maintain messaging and control that deal cycle?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of areas where we can use it deeper in a deal cycle. So a few of them is accounts that go dark or opportunities that seem to disengage. Video is a good way to get them back on board. Multi-threading with video is another good one. So we have engagement from one person, but we need somebody else. Video is a great way to be human very quickly. I can say, hey, I've been talking to Tony and she mentioned this. It's a much more impactful way to get somebody's attention and to immediately build digital rapport. We also find that when we're trying to pass very specific types of information through an organization to a buyer that we might not have access to, it's a really good opportunity. So the CFO is going to see something, the CFO is going to look at these numbers. You just can't get that person engaged. So you can film, we've done upwards of a 25-minute video of us going through the deck with your little picture down in the corner. And so, because what happens is your director of finance, your HR director is going to take this to the CFO, explain it in a way that is to the best of their abilities, but is not to the best of your abilities. So we want to really have control of what that looks like. And we know what CFOs do. They flip through all the deck, and then they go to the numbers sheet, and then they go, this is expensive. So instead, we film. We'll film a walkthrough of a key piece of the deck so they can understand the value proposition and how the numbers are structured. Right. And dead ops is another good opportunity. Like anytime you need a little extra punch, video is a good tool.
Tony, I think you found that as well of reviving dark deals or dead ops, and that's one thing I hear it all the time of. Somebody went quiet for 2 or 3 months. I sent them a personal video message and they responded within the hour. I've heard that countless times. Is that one that you guys are seeing as well?
Yeah, I would completely mirror what Kyle said. We're using both of those methods as well. So on the dead ops side, when someone goes quiet, creating a video, and to the point before, it has to have some value or some relevance. So something we've been doing in the sales process, so at the beginning you asked about our biggest challenge, and it's the space and the multitude of stakeholders that we need to get involved. So what we're starting to do is after a first call, on the second call that we'll have with a potential buyer, we have a slide that says objectives. So based on our last call, these are what I understand your objectives to be, but our call was short. I could have this completely wrong. can you chime in here and let me know if I'm on the right track? And continue in every call to build this story out, so by the end we have this strong business case that we can present. And so if we've lost someone, we're saying, as I understand from our first call, these were your objectives. It seems like there's a really powerful story here on how Terminus can help. When can we sync up? So that's been a good one. And then in terms of engaging those additional stakeholders, we're doing a lot very similar to what League is doing to just create videos with, here's what we discussed with our champion, these are the challenges, here's how Terminus can help, here's potential ROI. So we're getting to tell that story instead of relying on that champion to do it, and making sure that video throughout the organization.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to, wrap these last few minutes with a couple of important questions, which is, I think there's a great case to be made of how personal video can be used, prospecting during the deal cycle, and even during close time to again, do things like video recordings of a proposal and things like that. Now, how do you actually get your teams on board with this? And is video messaging for everyone? Some people are camera shy. Some people maybe don't articulate a message well on camera. Is it for everyone, or is it something you find certain people, are really successful with? And have you guys found, different tricks to help people get comfortable on camera and be effective with video messaging? Kyle, do you want to maybe start that off?
Yeah, I would say it's for everybody who wants to get more ops and close more deals. Which should be most of the people on your team. Yeah, I mean, if you're camera shy, you got to get over it, or you miss out on using a pretty powerful tool, I think. But we don't force it down anybody's throat. One of my best BDRs doesn't use as much video as some of the others, but I have one BDR who basically doesn't pick up the phone. She kills it with only video. So I want to allow a certain amount of creativity and independence to all of the reps. And if you properly deploy a video strategy, then the rest of the team will pick it up because they'll see the success. They'll see those emails. Oh, I never reply, but.
Right.
And so I think in terms of adoption, one of the things we did is we just made sure it was a focus for a 2-week period, and that's all it took, and then the ball got rolling and it was off. So we did a really good onboarding with the Vidyard team. They answered a whole bunch of questions. I gave a little bit of pre-reading some of the content on the site, tips and tricks, and then we did a small assignment. So we talked about it. I talked about the importance of why we were doing it. We did the training, and then obviously how to use the tool, and then we gave everybody the assignment to film 2 or 3 videos that they were going to share. I said you're going to have to record it 4 or 5 times or 8 times, but to become natural and do it, and then we played them all the next week. And some were awesome and gave a lot of cool ideas, things that none of the management had thought of. Some were not so good, and we were able to give feedback and get things shaped up, and that was all we really needed. And then people were excited to go start using it because it got them results pretty fast. But we just made sure that was the one thing we were training on for a 2 or 3 week period. We were just going to figure out video, and it was the training, and then it was an assignment, then it was a review, then we did wins and losses. Okay, these are examples of a video working for me this week. Here's what the content was. We started a Slack channel, so if people got good success, they could just copy paste that link so that we could see what's going on. And you just let your team be creative. I think that's one of the most powerful advantages of this generation. As much flack as we get as millennials, creativity and innovation is a big one. So let your team, don't force it down their throats. Give them the tools, and then let them be creative and make it their own, and you'll be pretty impressed.
Love it. Tony, anything to add to that? Any secrets to success at Terminus in your team?
Our experience was mostly similar. We gave 2 or 3 SDRs the free version of Vidyard and had them try it. The rest of the team caught wind and was coming to us saying, can we get this? We want this. And then the AEs were like, hey, what are they doing? That's really cool. I want that. So for us, it spread pretty naturally. I would agree that it's never a good thing to force any channel. I think let the rep settle into what works best for them, but certainly we encourage all of our reps to use it. And, last thing in terms of how to implement it, I would agree. I think don't just put this channel in the hands of your team. Make sure that you are training. We went back and forth on the whole script concept, so what we ended up doing is giving a script and saying, we don't really want you to read the script, but this is the kind of thing we want you to say, and we kind of gave them options. And I would prefer you come up with your own way to say this and say it. And the other thing we had to do actually was, please don't re-record your videos multiple times. I mean, certainly at first as you're practicing, but once you're certified and we say, okay, you're ready to go with video, film the video. If you stumble, that actually just makes the whole video look even more personal, so just, move on. Just like a webinar, we can't stop and start over. So we encourage them, and actually it's cute. You're an SDR, you're new, you're stumbling over the talk track, keep going, and it humanizes you.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Terrific. Well, I think we're going to try to wrap it up there, and keep our time on. Any final burning thoughts from you guys? Any other just things you really want to help this audience know, or any other keys to success, or have you gotten it all out there?
I think the one other point I'll make is much like any other tools that become popular, sales acceleration, social selling, video has it had an 18-month window. Now maybe that window is 12 months where it's a distinct advantage. And companies like us and Terminus are carving ourselves a competitive advantage in terms of getting meetings and moving ops. And 12 months from now, everybody's going to be using video, and you're just going to have to do it to keep up. So I would encourage people to look early at it. As much as I don't want to encourage everybody to do it, because then it becomes saturated.
You ruin it for all of us.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of value out of Vidyard, so I'll do them the solid and say, it's got a life cycle, and the forward-thinking type organizations are gonna have an advantage for a period of time. And if you're late to the party, then you're not gonna get the same win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I agree with that. I think it's a huge advantage. The key is just doing it the right way, having the right messaging, training the team to use it well, using it to have a value-driven conversation, whether it's for prospecting in the deal cycle. So it just goes back to having really quality messaging. And I think to the point that you made before, Tyler, it has been something that's helped us to hone in our own messaging and make sure that we were really talking about value. We realized some of the emails were just not that valuable. They were like, hey, look at us, we do this cool thing, we do this cool thing. Like, I wouldn't respond to that if someone emailed that to me about their tool. And so I think it's actually encouraged us to think more about how can we have a value-driven conversation. So
love it.
For us.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right, great. Well, we're going to wrap there. I know there have been a number of questions and comments come in via the chat, so we'll address those offline. Apologies for not being able to get to them on the session here, but we do want to wrap it up and let you all get back to your day, so we will look to address those offline. So thanks again for joining us. Hope you got some value from this. Thank you so much to Kyle and Tony for joining us to share their experiences and for letting everybody know what their competitive advantage is, so you can learn from it. So thanks again for joining, and hope you got some value. And all the best in your coming weeks of selling.
Thanks, guys.